Mike Meyers with Richard Chapman for yet another episode of Two Bald Nerds. Richard Chapman, Wie geht's, Schatzi?
Danke gut. ¿Y tú? Now I got to switch over to Spanish.
That's it. I speak too many languages. I can cuss like a sailor in like 30 languages.
Danke gut. Guten Tag, guten Morgen, wie geht's?
I gotta be careful. So many funny things to say about that. Hey, so listen, Richard, I get a lot of questions from people who are looking into the CyberNow Labs program, and in particular, they're like, okay. And by the way, folks, we have lots of episodes that cover like some of the different types of tools that you'll be using in a SOC, and you definitely need to watch those. But Richard, I was hoping that today we could take it a little bit a broader vision and kind of wrap around what does it mean to work in a SOC as an analyst? So let me start off with a question that's been driving me crazy. Is this shift work? Yes or no?
Yeah, it really kind of is. First and foremost, I would tell you that, like any normal career, you do have coverage times that you've got to make sure you've got people on staff to make sure that everything is taken care of. So it's really no different than any other career position. Now, a lot of SOC operations are 24/7. So that does mean that there are, daytime, morning time shifts, afternoon shifts, evening shift, overnight shifts. So depending on how your SOC is laid out, whether it's on 8-hour, 10-hour, 12-hour shifts, you may work different times of the day. It just kind of depends.
So a billion years ago, I used to do shift work, making cheese.
Yes, you told me about that. I was really surprised that you made cheese, but
yeah,
we made a bunch of cheesy jokes then too, I think.
But no, the reason I'm bringing it up is I would work the midnight till 8 a.m. shift.
Mm-hmm.
And it was great because it'd be 8 o'clock in the morning and I'm done for the day.
Right. I mean, it's definitely a little bit unique, though. You have to figure out, your sleep schedule if you're working overnight like that. So there's an adjustment there for sure. But when I started, I was doing 12-hour shifts overnight, and I worked 3 days one week, 4 days the next. And I loved it. Yeah. So personally, I thought it was actually pretty cool. But plus, it gave me some other benefits as well, too. I mean, I was able to do a lot to show my skill set, as well as I had some downtime because we didn't have as many alerts. So there were some benefits to it as well, too. So, but
I like shift work, especially shift work is what's literally allowing. I mean, the shift aspect, the 24/7 aspect of a SOC as a part of the reason this demand's been created for SOC analysts.
Yes, because you have to have constant monitoring.
That's right.
You have to have somebody paying attention to the activities that are going on almost 24/7.
So the next question I got is, how much, I want to say this right, how much work do you do when you're not at work? Do you do a lot of R&D? Are you required to do extra R&D? Is it just assumed within the IT security world that you're, read the CVE off the back of your head and stuff like that? Or, give me an idea.
No, not at all. I mean, to be honest, most shifts that are covered by SOC analysts, you're working your time and then you're done. A lot of people like to joke about banker's hours, 9 to 5 or whatever, and then they're done and they don't think about the bank at all. Well, okay, that's kind of the scenario, but you may just be on a different shift if you're working afternoon or evenings or overnight, right? But when I was done, I was done. Now, that didn't mean I didn't read things and do things and build my knowledge because I enjoy it. So yeah, it was more hobbyist, activity. But yeah, no, there was no requirement for me to continue to do anything outside. My own self growth and knowledge was the reason why I continue to do stuff outside of my SOC.
Gotcha. All right. So next question. What percentage of SOC jobs, in your opinion, right now are remote?
Ooh, that's a tough one. If you would have asked me this 6 months ago, a year ago, obviously the number was significantly higher. I do think that the number has been dropping. A lot of companies have gone back to either on-site, or a lot of them are still hybrid, actually. I'll be honest, a lot of these upper echelon, people, they kind of saw some benefit in working from home. So they embrace the hybrid mentality, but they also see benefit in having people in the office on, a few days a week. So I would, I don't even know how to put a percentage on that, Mike. I really don't.
right.
But I would definitely say the remote opportunities are less now. But a lot of companies have embraced hybrid. So that's kind of a decent balance between the two. Some of them have come back full force. They've brought everybody back into the office and they want everybody there. So I think it's a question of the belief of productivity. Like, what kind of productivity does your team have if they're fully remote versus completely here? Can we find a balance with a hybrid? I'm sure there's some components to that. Plus, a lot of these companies are paying a lot of money for commercial real estate, so they want to use it.
Gotcha. So when you're on shift and you're sitting there at your chair and you're watching the lights go by, which I assume there's a lot of that,
Sometimes.
So it leads to my question, and that is the life of a SOC analyst a lot of hurry up and wait, or pure boredom to pure panic?
So I would say that it can go from pure boredom to pure panic. I would say that's a little less likely, although, the good thing about it is we have great things in place. We have good policies and playbooks and run books and so forth that, kind of reduce the panic portion part of it, right? But yeah, you may have a lot of time where there's alerts, there's offenses, or there's notifications, detections, things like that you look into, but the security tools do their job, so that's a good thing. So there's not a lot to do with those other than just overview them and ensure that what you're seeing is exactly what you're thinking it is. But yeah, I mean, if you do have a breach, if you have some sort of activity that pops up, you've got pretty defined guidelines to help guide you through the process, whether it's you that handles it or whether you're working it to a certain point and then escalating that to another analyst with more experience or more knowledge. So, but yeah, I would say it's a mix.
When you're coming on shift or when you're leaving shift, is there like a handover kind of process?
Yeah, a lot of places refer to it as a turnover call. It's a handoff. It's really just communication between the previous shift that's going home and the shift that's coming on. So it literally takes 5 minutes. In essence, you're just communicating any issues that need to be addressed. Outstanding investigations that didn't get completed, any client requests, any tool outages that have been communicated or not communicated for that matter. To make sure that you've got everything up and running and properly in place so that the SOC can function the way that it's supposed to. So yeah, but just a brief conversation. Could be on the phone, could be on Zoom, could be in person, just depends on the organization.
All right, so one more question for you, and then I'm done. What percentage of let's just say an 8-hour shift, how many times, let's say it in a week, how's that sound? In a week, how many times does a tier 1 analyst ask for help from a tier 2 analyst?
So that varies from.
This is assuming somebody is they got the job down.
Yeah, it varies. It varies based on quite a few different factors. The SOC itself, how well engineered it is, how well the rules are set up and false positives are tuned out of the tools. That can determine and dictate, kind of some of that handover to a tier 2. The experience level of the analyst as well. How far can an analyst take it? I've worked with analysts in the past that couldn't take investigations as far. So they would have to reach out to tier 2 level analysts for help and guidance sooner than others. So I think that kind of plays in as well too. Now your true handoff situations where you're like, I've got a significant situation here that pushes my skill set as a tier 1 to a limit so that they bring it to a tier 2. I would say that's probably a pretty low percentage actually, probably 5%, 10% maybe, depending on the SOC. I would say it's pretty low.
Gotcha.
And usually those are the situations that have to be escalated. There's some additional steps that need to be done. There's some additional digging and or urgency. And I put urgency in quotes here, but urgency with the mitigation steps that need to be taken to help remediate that particular threat. So yeah, there's definitely a few things that go into that. One of the things I love about our program is we try to help our analysts be as ready as they possibly can be to take investigations as far as they can. Our analysts are working in tools and doing things that tier 2 level analysts are doing in a lot of SOC operations. So that makes them a stronger, more powerful tier 1. And the great thing is they're doing that every day when they're working in their SOC shifts in the program too. So our SOC shifts are designed to mimic what a normal SOC shift looks like in any other SOC.
So normal CyberNow Lab students are working real SOC shifts?
Yeah, so we have CyberNow Labs has basically our own network, right? All of our devices, all of our network traffic that's coming in and out, all of the attacks that are actually happening, towards our public-facing IPs. Our analysts are working on those. They're actually seeing all of that traffic, and they're working in tools like QRadar and Splunk and CrowdStrike, SentinelOne, Proofpoint. They're doing vulnerability management, look at vulnerability assessments and so forth through Tenable Nessus and attack surface stuff through Armis. I mean, they're really getting the real experience. They are not working in a simulated environment. So it takes them from having no experience or some experience to completing our program and actually having real world drop in a SOC ready to go experience. And, I have seen so many people go through this program and be dropped in some of the biggest, most well-known security operations centers. And not only have they excelled, a lot of them have already climbed the ladder to tier 2s. A few of them have actually even become SOC managers over the last few years. So there's a lot of opportunity there with our analysts for sure.
Very cool. Hey, man, Richard, as always, it's wonderful talking with you about this stuff. I'm still a SOC newbie, but I learn more and more every time with you, man. So I really do appreciate that.
My pleasure.
Folks, I think that's going to wrap us up for today. This is Mike Meyers. That's Richard Chapman. This is Two Bald Nerds, and we'll see you on the next one. If you like Two Bald Nerds, check out our entire playlist right here. It's a lot of fun. We'll see you there.